Back to Liverpool now, who had previously been heavily linked with the likes of Xabi Alonso and Ruben Amorim before agreeing terms with Feyenoord for Arne Slot. Here's what Jurgen Klopp had to say about his successor.
Not involved in the process, just to clarify that. Club-wise, I mean. But I like a lot about it at the first moment that if he is the one that he wants to take the job, really, and is desperate, but come on, let's go for it, excited, rather. I like the way his team play football. I can say that definitely all the things I hear about him as a guy, good guy. Some people I know him. I don't know him yet, but good coach, good guy. Looking forward for the club if he's the solution or the man. Then I'm more than happy. It's not up to me to judge these things, but that sounds all really good. Best job in the world, best club in the world, best job in the world. And obviously now help even with not finishing on a high, it looks like. So there's space for improvement, let me say it like that. Oh, great job, great team, fantastic people.
So, Arne Slot is on his way to Liverpool, and we're fortunate to be joined by Dutch football expert James Rowe from the World Football Index, who's going to tell us all about him. Good morning, James.
Morning, James.
Morning, gentlemen. How are you both?
Very good, very good. So, is Arne the right man for Anfield?
Well, first and foremost, it's a great opportunity for him. And it just goes to show once again that in professional football, you never know what's around the corner. 7.5 years ago, he's managing Cambuur Leeuwarden. And via AZ Alkmaar and Feyenoord, he has the opportunity to manage one of the biggest clubs in England and one of the biggest clubs in the world.
Somebody, a Liverpool legend, Jamie Carragher, has been suggesting it's not necessarily the right way to go and that Thomas Tuchel might have been a better bet. What would you say to that?
Well, Bram van Polen, who played with Arne Slot as well, has said that even when they played together as players, he showed managerial tendencies on the pitch. And Arne Slot has great analysis of his opponents. He's big on analysis. He's also really a passionate, motivational speaker about football. He's always looking for a way to surprise the opponent, whether that be a corner, whether that be a free kick. And whenever his teams have a big game coming up, it's always trying to get the maximum effort out of them to say, can we play the game of our lives today? Can we give everything we've got? So it's a great opportunity for him. But I think lots of people also have to understand his journey. When he started out at Cambuur Leeuwarden, when he took over, they were 14th and languishing. And for a provincial club, it's quite difficult waters to navigate. And not only did he get them to third place, but they also reached the Dutch Cup semi-final, knocking out Ajax along the way. He then became assistant under John van der Brom at AZ Alkmaar, which was a massive part of his development. And then to go on to take over as manager of AZ and knock out and beat Napoli, in Europe, which is a great result for a team like Napoli. And then to go on to manage Feyenoord, to win the Eredivisie, to win the Dutch Cup last Sunday, beating NEC Nijmegen. And one thing I will point out, which not many people are talking about, his current backroom staff of Stipke Hulshoff, John de Wolf and Etienne Reijnen, they're a massive part of the success of Feyenoord at the moment. It'll be very interesting to see if he takes all three with him to Liverpool.
James, I think the plan is for all three to go. But just sort of broadening it out, what Liverpool's like. It's quite an emotional club. And if you look at it historically down the years and you look at the sort of the great managers they've had, Shankly, Paisley, Dalglish, Houllier, Benitez and Klopp, they all had this emotional connection with the fans. And that's not something you can force because Liverpool fans would see through that. Is Arne Slot, has he got that in him to get that emotional connection with the Kop?
I believe so. I think it will happen over time, but also the connection he has with Feyenoord as well. Rotterdam is also an emotional city, considering the history that it has. And Feyenoord being the club that it is, it's a massive club, but it's also a difficult job. It can be at times. And I think that he'll be able to gain a great rapport with the Kop and Liverpool fans over time. I think it's a great opportunity for him. And he'll be chomping at the bit to do his best. And I think he'll surprise many.
It hasn't quite worked out for Erik ten Hag over here with Man United so far. So I think people are looking at Arne Slot thinking, oh, here comes another one. He's going to a big club. He's going to be struggling.
What I would say to that, Shaun, is communication is so important. Being able to communicate properly and being able to get your message across is so important. And I think in the case of Erik ten Hag, I think I think he underestimated the size of the job. I mean, you have to remember, I always say, as someone who's been following Eredivisie football and Dutch football for nigh on 2 decades now, that Erik ten Hag's greatest work was at Go Ahead Eagles. You know, they were staring into the financial abyss, and he managed to not only get them promoted but win the league and stabilise them in the Eredivisie before taking over Utrecht, and great work at Ajax as well. And timing is also very important. I think the quality of squad which Klopp is leaving behind, especially with the youth, is a great service to Slot, and I think that he'll get on really well with the youth players. You saw that in particular with his time at AZ Alkmaar, who have heavily invested in their youth setup, to their credit. You know, even plucking away many Amsterdam young players under the noses of Ajax and getting them to play for AZ. So I think the squad that Klopp is leaving behind is a really good fit for Slot to start his journey in English football.
James, Klopp was talking about Arne Slot's style as sort of almost like a sort of continuation. I mean, he basically said he liked his style. Will he be able to sort of continue what Klopp has done, that, you know, the attacking fullbacks, the gegenpressing, all that element, the sort of all the sort of, you know, the chaos of sort of their attacking, or will he try to? Does he have a sort of slightly different style?
I think what we'll try to do first and foremost, Henry, is assess his squad and see what the skill set of certain players are. If you look at the current Feyenoord midfield of Quinten Timber, Mats Wiever, and Calvin Stengs, there's pace there, there's intelligence there, and there's trickery there. And to win games, going back to my point previously, where he's always looking to surprise the opponent, you can use different facets to win a game with that midfield, for example. And I just think that he'll try to put his own stamp on it as well. You know, you can't copy a specific manager. You know, in the biggest league in the world, where 24/7 attention, the eyes of the world are on you, everybody knows your name, I think he's going to try to find his feet slowly but surely. But I think he's going to act with the utmost professionalism.
We saw with Ten Hag that he brought in a couple of players that he knew or had worked with. Is there any sort of suggestion in the Netherlands that Arne Slot might do that as well?
Not at the moment. Not at the moment. I think first and foremost, here in the Netherlands, the Dutch public is just delighted that they're potentially going to have Erik ten Hag and Arne Slot managing two of the biggest clubs in England. So that's first and foremost, it's a point of pride. Mats Wiever was recently linked with Atletico Madrid. Calvin Stengs has done tremendously well to come back from an awful knee injury. So it's going to be really interesting to see. And I think first and foremost, it's going to be a very exciting time. And also for potential players that may get picked to go with Arne Slot and his staff to Liverpool. It's a big jump from the Eredivisie to the Premier League. Also in terms of cultural differences as well. So there's many things to weigh up in that respect.
James, just finally, you might say this doesn't matter to fans, but it matters to me and probably a lot of people in the media. Is Arne Slot the sort of one person who's going to entertain us on TV and in his press conferences, or is he going to bore us to tears?
No, he's a very clever man who's going to make a point of wanting to communicate clearly. And in terms of the entertainment, he can be very funny. You know, this is a manager who's together with his backroom staff. Their teams play with a smile on their face. And I think slowly but surely he'll be able to project that in front of the camera as well. And I think we're in for a very interesting time.
James Rowe from the World Football Index, thank you very much.
Thanks, James.
Henry, what do you make of what James had to say about Arne Slot?
Well, that's sort of encouraging. It's a very good point on communication. The fact that he comes out and communicates probably better than Ten Hag does. It'd be interesting to see whether Liverpool will countenance him bringing one or two players across as well.
The whole backroom staff, though, is a given.
Yeah, no, that seems, you know, the three that James mentioned. That the understanding is that you know, they would all try and come across as well. Look, it's. I can see why people are thinking it's a slightly underwhelming choice, but you know, give him a chance. And the Liverpool fans will give him a chance.
I don't detect much opposition from Liverpool fans.
Not opposition, but I think when you had the possibility of Xabi Alonso with all the emotional connection there and all the unbelievable management that he's doing currently, I think that, possibly a little bit disappointing. But you know what? The expectations have possibly been slightly lowered by the fact that Liverpool are having a sort of slightly fade to grey end to the season.
What about the point? You could have had Tuchel. Could have had him. He's going to spare. What a manager to bring in.
He's difficult because he throws fireworks around at clubs, and clubs do find that difficult.
But he wins things.
But he does win things. You saw it at Chelsea.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.